have solved the matter, including on the basis of our talks with the United States and Israel. But the simple answer, should we have not killed Ayatollah, then he would have killed us. So this is a rogue state without any right to exist, and we need to instill the codes factor once again, and many other things involved. Just simply saying that we are in solidarity with the Arab countries and Arab Gulf countries. We are also in solidarity with Iran, because for many years we have been trying to support all those processes that were generated and enhanced in this region in terms of the relations of Iran with Arab countries. We just remember our concept, I just reminded it today, and those bombing Iran, they sought opposed targets, objectives, starting from rule and divide, houndering at each other and instigating some tensions among the victims of the policy rule and divide, could start claiming in terms of condemning Iran for all the things are done. We need to stop all these things, and there should be quite a simple one-page resolution, and we are prepared to motion this draft together with our friends and to see the response to this. Thank you. Iran.
In the name of God, Excellency, Mr. Lavrov, dear colleagues,
witnessing other events, other developments, unfortunately those unfolding in the Middle East as the result of the US and Israel aggression against the Islamic Republic of Iran. In this connection, I must mention the crisis, the current crisis that is on the TVs, is on the headlines. This crisis is fraught with dire negative consequences for the entire world, for global stability and world economy, for everything that previously was called as globalization for the sake of prosperity of the entire humanity. All of that has been destroyed. And civilians are affected by that. In particular, citizens of Iran and neighboring Arab countries. We express our condolences to all victims among the civilian population. We see that maximum damage is being dealt to all countries of the Persian Gulf. To be honest, we remember that countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council, long before the United States and Israel launched their campaign, countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council publicly called not to use force against Iran and to resolve all the issues through political and diplomatic dialogue, and they publicly stated that they would not provide their territory, their airspace, in order to wage war against the Islamic Republic of Iran. They have been publicly stating that they would not approve the use of foreign military bases deployed in their country in this aggression against Iran. But yet, these countries and these bases are still dragged into this war. I have no doubts that was one of the goals of the operation. They are calling Lion's Roar or an epic fury, or whatever they call it. There are debates about the goals because even US politicians cannot say what is the ultimate goal of this operation. Donald Trump publicly stated that we will exterminate Ayatollah Khamenei, or otherwise he will exterminate me. And next, the United States stated that they didn't organize the killing of Ayatollah Khamenei. We again have questions about the American goals. And taking into account their political system functioning in the United States, I have no doubts, I would like to reiterate that, I have no doubts that one of their goals was to divide countries of the region, countries of the Persian Gulf, to divide Iran and its Arab neighbors. Iran and its Arab neighbors has made positive progress in the normalization of their relations over the past years. In particular, Saudi Arabia and the Islamic Republic of Iran have normalized their relations, and Russia has contributed to that process. We are promoting, our country is promoting a unifying agenda for so many years. For more than 20 years, we have been promoting this agenda. We have been organizing events to support the establishment of the initiative to establish a security zone in the Persian Gulf that would include all coastal countries and their neighbors. That would include 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council that would ensure transparency, confidence-building measures, and specific steps to use this rich and prosperous region for the prosperity of peoples of these countries, of the countries of the region. But this concept, unfortunately, this concept is not implemented today, and the West has did its utmost to obstruct the promotion of this initiative, and the West has proved in this situation, in launching the aggression against Iran, that the West follows the principle: you're either with us or you're against us. Their main principle is rule and divide, or should I say even rule, pin against countries against each other, and divide. I really saying that with deep regret, because at this table we have our friends, those who are suffering from actions taken by the United States and Israel. You're our strategic partners, and we will continue to maintain dialogue with these countries, and we'll do our best to, including with other countries of the international community, in the United Nations Security Council, in the United Nations General Assembly. We'll do everything to create an atmosphere that will make this operation impossible. I don't know how we will be able to help the situation by using more and political efforts, but we need to make sure that the voice of the international community is heard. Today, we gathered here to talk about Ukraine, and I finished the first part of my speech by referring to the Western politics, the Western policy, rule and divide. This policy goes together with the principle, you're with us or you're against us, and these are the principles that the West has been using with regard to the crisis in Ukraine. They have been preparing Ukraine to act against Russia, to make Ukraine a backbone of the Western hybrid war, direct, outright war of the West against the Russian Federation. In 2005, when the first Maidan revolution happened in Ukraine, when results of the elections were cancelled, when they organized the third illegal round of elections were organized, bypassing the constitution of Ukraine, a candidate that was desirable by the West was promoted, and they did that to oppose a legitimately elected president that was elected after 2 rounds of elections. And at that time, publicly, Brussels claimed that we request from Ukrainian voters, when they go to the 3rd illegal round of elections, they will make a clear choice. Either they are with Europe or they are with the Russian Federation. It happened in 2004, and since then, this approach, you're with us or you're with Russia, is still relevant today. It is still being used. And the same approach has been particularly used when they tried to drag Ukraine into NATO, although we warned about the perniciousness and inacceptability of this approach, especially when Vladimir Putin delivered his remarks at the Munich Security Conference. Well, since we cannot stop this process of Ukraine joining NATO, when last year, in December 2025, our official requests were denied by the West to sign a document on collective security principles that would take into account legitimate interests of both Russia and NATO. All these documents were ignored, and the West told us, well, it doesn't affect you, because when it comes to relations between NATO countries and Ukraine, they have nothing to do with Russia, and Russia has no connection to them. And even today, when the special military operation has proved that the plans of Ukraine joining NATO will never take place in the future, but still, European capitals, I'm not even talking about capitals of Baltic countries, European capitals are stating that NATO should pursue an open door policy. But as for security guarantees, they include Ukrainian membership in the European Union, but it still doesn't change their approach to continue the war and continue the hostile approach against Russia. I think that the European Union has been making even more hideous remarks than NATO. But as for the militarization against our country, I think that the European Union takes the same efforts as NATO countries. Well, we're making parallels, like you're either with us or against us, as I mentioned earlier. That what has been taking place in Ukraine and in countries of the Middle East, but since the West is involved in Ukrainian affairs, now the West is being involved in the war that was unleashed by the United States and Israel against Iran. Mark Rutte, Secretary General of NATO, makes interesting statements. In particular, he stated that NATO is ready to use Article on Collective Defense in the US operation against Iran. So we have been preparing for it. What we are doing within the framework of NATO, we are ensuring the defense of every inch of NATO's alliance in a full 360-degree format. So he has used the phrase that was used by Annalena Baerbock about 360 degrees, but the point is different. By saying that, he meant that distinguished members of the international community, please know that interests of NATO are in an area where we will tell you, are used where we tell you. So there is the main point of NATO's existence, as it is enshrined in the Washington Treaty, to protect territories of NATO's countries, when what countries of the Middle East have to do with that? When NATO have been actively promoting the Indo-Pacific strategy in Eurasia, and where they have been creating their infrastructure in the region, they have been creating NATO-like structures, groups of 5 or 4 countries. And Stoltenberg, previous Secretary General of NATO, was asked at the press conference what was the point of NATO to extend their activities in the Middle East, because, again, NATO is an alliance that is purely created to protect territories of NATO countries from external threats. And Stoltenberg stated that, well, the alliance remains to be that alliance that defends territories of NATO countries, but today threats are being posed in Middle East, in the Strait of Taiwan, and in other parts of the world, and these are threats to the security of NATO countries. So this explains what is going on in Ukraine, reasons of the Ukrainian crisis, what is happening in the Middle East. So all their actions have reaffirmed in the NATO's approach to issues that are far from NATO, have nothing to do with NATO. And they do not even conceal it. Our British colleagues have stated and have repeatedly stated, with the support of many colleagues from NATO, that the security of the Euro-Atlantic is indivisible from the security of the Indo-Pacific space, as well. That's how they call it. And I need to mention that Vladimir Putin's initiative to bring together all countries of Eurasia and all organizations of Eurasia, to bring them together and to discuss their future, their cooperation, how to ensure their economic integration, how to ensure their security. This initiative becomes especially relevant in a situation where when the security is ensured in Eurasia by NATO countries instead of Eurasian countries. This is their mentality, the mentality of NATO. The principle, rule and divide, in the Asia-Pacific is crystal clear. They are trying to drive a wedge in ASEAN. They are trying to take some ASEAN countries and put them in military political blocks established in the region. They are trying to undermine the ASEAN-centric approach to universal and inclusive structures that have been established by ASEAN for decades. These structures helped to develop positive recommendations. I think that we have many tendencies, but there is one single tendency that is taking place in various situations in various parts of the world, especially in Ukraine and in the Middle East, and in the Far Eastern regions as well. There is another aspect that are being mentioned by the Russian political scientists. There are debates about negotiations, comments being made about successful negotiations between the United States and Venezuela. You know how these negotiations ended.
Negotiations between the United States and Iran were maintained quite long, and they were quite close at the estimates of the participants to the success. even last year, when exactly on the eve of the next round of talks, they launched the 12-day war, so-called, the first act of aggression against Republic of Iran. The same, we witness the same things. Last Friday, parties left Geneva, making quite optimistic statements. I talked to my friend, Minister Budaidi of the Sultanate of Oman, who was a mediator in these talks, and he confirmed that they departed, both delegations, on a positive note, and the substantial agreements was quite close. They have to continue these talks, but then they cut these talks, and it was stated that the US side just playing a trick, claiming that Iran is not willing to fulfill their requirements. Coming back to Ukraine, we are also engaged in talks with the United States, with our American colleagues, who are trying to assist in the dialogue with Ukraine. Several rounds of talks took place in Abu Dhabi, and we would like to appreciate our friends. Just a statement, not a question. I would like to apologize to the representative of the Arab States League. Skip the second question. So, coming back to this question, regardless of the position of other members in these negotiations, we're trying to avoid some public speculations or leaks to the public, especially provide information which could be misleading. Diplomacy means diplomacy loves silence until some outcomes are reached. But the information was leaked.
This information that was provided by our officials, but following negotiations that took place in Abu Dhabi twice, and the recent round of talks was held in Geneva. We have made some progress in humanitarian issues, in the exchange of prisoners of war, in the exchange of bodies. And as far as I understand, we have made some progress in developing a common understanding of a mechanism that will ensure monitoring of eventual agreements. But these eventual main agreements are still not reached. I would like to reiterate that there is no alternative to such agreements, because these agreements should be based on understandings reached in Alaska and the agreements that were agreed to and proposed by the American side, and the Russian side has accepted these proposals with a certain degree of compromise. We thought that the matter is closed, and we thought that the Donald Trump's initiative will be implemented, but European sponsors of Ukraine, together with the Zelensky's regime, have done everything to undermine the understanding reached in Alaska. There are several important moments that should be taken into account. First, they want to undermine the understanding that Ukraine has no place in NATO, and they are using various arguments for that to undermine this position. They are saying that this position restricts rights and freedoms of a country. We would like to remind everyone that Russia recognized the state of Ukraine in the borders of 1991 based on the declaration of state sovereignty that the Ukrainian leadership had adopted. that the Ukrainian Supreme Council had adopted before the collapse of the Soviet Union. The declarations enshrines the non-bloc, non-nuclear status of Ukraine, as well as a neutral status, and this declaration provides all the rights to groups, ethnic groups living in Ukraine. And in this way, Russia, in this capacity, Russia has recognized Ukraine, and in this capacity, Ukraine has maintained its position in the United Nations. And when they are talking about addressing the issue of territories, some territories will be given to Russia, some territories will be given to Ukraine, and we won't forbid Ukraine to enter NATO. We won't demand from the regime to ban all the discriminatory NATO laws that were enacted in order to ban the Russian language and religion. That's not a serious approach. For example, we have been talking about the situation in Iran, the situation in Palestine at length. In Iran, you can speak Jewish, Hebrew, you can go to synagogue. It's not forbidden in Iran to speak the language and go to synagogue. In Palestine, as in other Arab countries, you can speak Hebrew. And in Israel, Arab is widespread as the Russian language. There is no country in the world where a language is prohibited. There is, I would like to say, by the way, that Ukraine has banned the use of the Russian language in culture and education. They also has banned the canonical Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Well, they're saying right now, don't worry about them, just make a compromise on the issue of territories. What compromise can we talk about? Because that's not the question of lands. This is the question of people living on these territories who voted against being with the Kiev regime and who voted in favor of being with Russia. And they're saying, well, we have closed all the questions. There is a question of territories are resolved, and Zelensky has even stated that security guarantees have been agreed. These security guarantees are supported both by Europeans and the United States. We are asking the American side, is it so? Is it the case? We haven't still received their feedback, but the security guarantees given to the Zelensky's regime include that Ukraine and the borders that will remain for the Nazi regime, security will be ensured for the Kiev regime. These security guarantees also include that Ukraine will join the EU that is taking hostile action against Russia, even more hostile than NATO. These agreements also include the deployment of a military contingent that will be deployed in Ukraine, in addition to British and French structures that had been deployed in Ukraine for a long period of time and ensure the military training of Ukrainians. Mark Rutte, Ursula von der Leyen, Emmanuel Macron are making different statements, and probably they will put Ukraine under the recent umbrella, nuclear umbrella, not Cherbourg umbrellas, but Macron umbrellas that want to extend over the entire Europe. Our position is that we don't just not accept these guarantees. We haven't seen these guarantees at all. And all the information that is being circulated in mass media, these leaks show total disrespect to the negotiations that were launched at the initiative of the United States. And the guarantees that I mentioned, well, you can make your own conclusions here. These guarantees are not aimed at ensuring equal and indivisible security in this part of the world, in Europe, but these guarantees aim to continue preparing Ukraine for war, to pump it with weapons, to provide more funds to Ukraine, and to deploy more troops to Ukraine. And they pursue a single goal: to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia. That's totally different, 180 degrees different from what we agreed in Istanbul 3 years ago. And 4 years ago, in March and April 2022, at the proposal of Ukraine itself, and security guarantees at that time included collective participation of all members of the United Nations Security Council, including Russia and China, that these guarantees will be ensured on the basis of consensus. That's total withdrawal from the principles we agreed at that negotiations in 2022. So we're just asking questions to our American colleagues, and we hope that the principles.
Thank you, Africa, Mama Africa. You make African